Shana Tova, and welcome to our little shul in the village. It's wonderful to have so many of you joining us this evening and, of course, tomorrow as well. We begin with the singing of Erev Ba, Evening Comes. Now I'd like to introduce the president of our congregation, Stephen Wellens.
Good evening. Shana Tova Umtuka, a sweet new year to all. Wow, what a beautiful bima we have this year. I only feel as though I should be up here singing a song, but I'm not sure the rabbi would appreciate that if I cleared the place. So maybe I'll just give you some words of wisdom. On behalf of the board of directors, the rabbi, Janet Newman, Cantor Michelle and Seth Levy, Jeannie Whitney, I'd like to wish all of you, your families, your friends, your guests, and the whole community a sweet and happy, healthy new year. The clergy, Jeannie, Janet, Seth, staff, and the board have worked tirelessly to make these next 4 days, today and tomorrow and Yom Kippur, a special and memorable experience. We hope that our efforts exceed your expectations for observing Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur here in the Rocky Mountains. By just about every measure, B'nai Vail has been a hugely successful congregation over the past 40+ years. Our membership has grown steadily over the past several years, while most congregations around the country have struggled to retain members. This year, we're on pace to once again have more members than at any time in our history. This, of course, is a trend that's been growing over the last several years, and I want to thank all the previous boards and presidents who have set the culture of this place to attract so many wonderful people. Our clergy and our administrator have remained in place for more than 9 years, while many congregations have struggled to keep their key employees in place. This stability has contributed to the continued growth in the programs offered, the trusted advice and guidance you seek in times of need, and a consistent culture that has been built over the past 4 decades. This past summer, we held innovative services and programs in Avon, Edwards, Leadville, and Vail as we explored the vast resources available to us throughout the county, the valley. Some would have viewed the ongoing renovation of the Vail Chapel as an obstacle that needed to be overcome, but not B'nai Vail. We simply stepped outside the box and took advantage of all the many venues that were available to us throughout the valley. The natural beauty of these venues contributed to the overall positive experience of the programs and services we offered. From the feedback we received from you, we will continue to look for additional opportunities to conduct future programs and services outside in the beauty of the Rocky Mountains. B'nai Vail, over the last several years, has been able to significantly improve our financial stability and long-term viability. And this has afforded us the opportunity to take the necessary steps to prepare for our future. We learned over the past couple years that the Vail Valley Jewish community is growing. It cares deeply about Jewish education, desires to enhance the quality and quantity of the services and programs we've offered. And when asked, all of you have provided the financial resources necessary to achieve our goals. I want to personally thank every one of you for answering the phone every time we called. B'nai Vail is here for you, and we are grateful you have been the reason this congregation has been such a success. This truly has been an amazing year so far, but we are just getting started. From my wife Lori and I, may you all be inscribed and sealed in the book of life. Shana Tova.
We're now going to continue with the lighting of our candles.
Eternal God, as the new year begins, we have come together, each of us with special dreams and hopes. Each of us has personal worries and concerns. Each of us has a prayer no one else can utter. And so we pray, if we are weary, give us strength. If we are discouraged, give us hope. If we have forgotten how to pray, remind us. If we have been careless of time, forgive us. With the glowing spirit of this holy night, warm us in the light of these candles as we begin the new year.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivonu להדליק נר של יום טוב.
Join together in Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו עד זמן הזה.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, again, welcome, and I hope that you enjoy and find inspiration through these special prayer books that we have created for you for these holidays. It's in dedication of Howard Marcus, a very special person, loving husband, of course, to Rose, and father to David, Billy, and the late Bonnie. So we're grateful to them for allowing us to make something as creative as this that only fits in a creative setting where we have our services. I'd like to call upon Seth Levy. He's now going to continue the bottom of page 1 as he reads for us As Twilight Falls.
As the twilight falls on the vanishing year, the B'nai Vail family unites with our fellow Jews around the world to proclaim a new year of hope. As we kindle these flames, may they open our eyes to the opportunities for good, which await us in the year ahead, to work for love and justice, harmony and peace, and so to make the world bright with your presence.
I know as the pilgrims were approaching Jerusalem and they looked up and they saw their mountain, and it was spectacular to have the temple in front of them. For all of us who are driving here this evening and looked up at our mountains with the golden leaves and the beauty of it, Sinai takes on double meaning for us. We're going to call upon Mark and Debbie Levy. They're going to lead us responsively on page 2, Sinai.
Arriving in Jerusalem, the pilgrims lifted their eyes to the mountains and cried out in unison, "From where does my help come?"
Voice they answered, "My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth."
This Rosh Hashanah, as we lift our eyes to the beauty of our mountains, we welcome the high holy days with its embrace of peace.
It's upon all of us as we worship together, as we're grateful and appreciative for this moment of rest.
Your gift to us called Rosh Hashanah comes yearly to remind us to free ourselves from those things in life that hold us back.
Now is the time to set aside those petty arguments with friends, to say to our family, "I'm sorry for things long forgotten."
May we never take for granted the beauty of our mountains. Take a breath and pause as we lift our eyes and know that as we begin this new year, we are blessed with peace.
As we join together, page 2 at the bottom of the page with the cantor. One of the many things that I think is special about our congregation and our services is that we get to include so many of you as a part of our service. So if you do have a part and you're going to be reading or have an honor, come up about a page before. Plenty of empty seats waiting for you up here, and it's the best view. So if you have a part, please come up and join us. We're going to continue on page 3 at the top of the page. We'd like to invite Guy Berliner. He's going to be reading in just a moment. So we all rise, the top of page 3, our call to worship. You may be seated. Our reading as we continue talks about Joshua ben Hananiah. He's also known as Rabbi Yehoshua. He was a very special man in the first half century after the destruction of the temple. And what's unique about him is his mother always said that you're going to have a life of study, just like all of your mothers said to you. So she took her child in a cradle to the synagogue, and she just left him there rocking back and forth so his ears would be accustomed to the sounds of the word of Torah. Now we're going to learn a little bit more about him, the middle of page 3.
First, I want to thank Stephen and Lori, Mark and Debbie, Seth, Ken, Michelle, Rabbi Newman. My wife Bonnie and I are truly blessed to be part of this beautiful Jewish community in the mountains. Truly blessed. A story is told in the Talmud of Rabbi Joshua ben Hananiah. He was walking on his road to town. He met a boy at the crossroads and asked him the way to town. The boy, pointing his finger to the right, answered, "The road is near and far." He turned to the left, pointed his finger and said, "This road is far and near." Rabbi Joshua took the road to the right, thinking it was shorter, but found the way blocked by fruit gardens surrounded with fences. He returned and found the boy who had directed him. "Why did you mislead me?" he remonstrated. "You did not take heed of my directions," retorted the boy. "Did I not say that the road to the right is near and far? It is the nearer road, but because the garden has barriers, it is the farther. The other road, although it is farther, is nearer because it is clear and unobstructed." We are seeking too many shortcuts. We seek shortcuts in education, shortcuts in religion, shortcuts in human relations, shortcuts in every avenue of life. There are no shortcuts to honesty, decency, benevolence, thoughtfulness, and compassion.
Thank you. The bottom of page 3 as we continue the Cantor leads us in the Shema.
Shema your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them as a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and upon your gates, upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
The Song of the Sea, also known as Shirat Hayam or Az Yashir. We know it as Mi Chamocha. It's a poem that was written in the book of Exodus, the Song of the Sea, sung by the Israelites after their crossing of the Red Sea in safety. And they celebrate the destruction of the Egyptian army during the crossing, but look forward to their moment that they will then have in Canaan. We join together the middle of page 4 with the cantor, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, norot tehilot osef eleh, malchutecha ra'u
The prayer of Hashkivenu was set together by the rabbis as a prayer that envisions God as a guide and a shelter during the night ahead, but praises God for watching over us and then delivering us to the morning to come. We continue in the top of page 5 as Sonny Brodsky will lead us responsively.
On this Rosh Hashanah evening, we seek peace and comfort. Shield us from the hatred and destruction that plagues so many corners of our world, and console those in need.
May God provide peace and comfort in the refuge of his wings. Protect us from concerns and distress
that keep us from thinking clearly. May we live each day with honesty, grace, and integrity, so we may lie down each night free from worry and angst, and awake each morning with renewed life.
Grant us good counsel, so we'll make each day worthy of your promises. Guard our going forth and our coming in, and bless us with life and peace. May we always feel protected in the shadow of your wings. Blessed are you, eternal God, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all people, and over Jerusalem. Well, worry has been defined as borrowing trouble from the future for a present-day consumption. When we think about Hashkivenu, the middle of the page, let's think about how courage has been defined as borrowing hope from the future for our present day. We continue the middle of the page 5, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeitzenu, uvoenu, lechaim u'shalom, me'atavei Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim, Ehamitenu Malkeinu lechaim.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you who spread your canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. We turn to page 6 at the middle of the page as we rise for the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitzkador v'yitzkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach yirutei Ve'yamlich malchutei B'chayei choin u'v'yomei choin u'v'chayei kol beit Yisrael וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל, שבית קודשה בריחו לעילה, לעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירון ועלמה ואמרו amen.
You may be seated. Well, throughout COVID and throughout the summer and all these different parts of when people are not here in Vail, Joe is. Joe has been online with us in person or otherwise, and it's been wonderful that we're able to connect virtually so many ways. And when we have our Wednesday morning discussion group, he's representing the East Coast, giving his opinion as to what we are talking about. So he's going to lead us now. He's going to read for us Every Day Wrongs Are Done, page 7. Joe?
Every day, wrongs are done between husband and wife, parent and child, brother and sister, between races, creeds, and nations. Harsh words are spoken, uncharitable judgments are made, grievances nursed. Every day, in the absence of forgiveness, bitterness grows deeper. Help us, O God, to break out of this vicious cycle which only leads to misery, the misery of those with whom we are in conflict and our own. Make us see that right is rarely only on one side, even though it be our own. Teach us to be self-critical, to restrain our anger, to swallow our pride, to moderate our demands to make concessions, to be generous to both forgive and accept forgiveness.
We could have read that every Wednesday morning before my group. It would have been just perfect. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Well, the Birkat HaGomel prayer expresses our gratitude for the miracle of healing and full restoration of one's health to family and friends, and indeed full restoration to life itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, HaGomel l'chayavim tovot, sheg gimelani kol tov. May God, who has bestowed kindness upon us, continue to bestow every goodness upon each of us and restore us to our health. There are those in our community who are in need of healing of body, mind, and spirit. If you have a loved one, in just a moment as my eyes meet yours, please share their name aloud as we continue the middle of page 7 with Misha Baruch.
Mekor habracha
the new moon at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar, for it is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob. The few words taken from Psalm 51, Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. You see, before we begin praying, we ask God for this moment to pause, especially on Rosh Hashanah, to pause, to think, and then to speak those words we need to say as we rise and continue page 9, Adonai Svatai. As we continue silently through page 18. You may be seated when you've completed the Amidah. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity, and may it be a life of peace. Page 18, in the middle of the page, as the cantor continues, the Sefer Chaim.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו בכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום. אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ואם כללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ואם כללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ואם כללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ואם כללי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני
Well, I was fortunate through rabbinical school to sit at the feet of some of the greatest teachers and rabbis of another generation back in the 70s. And they taught us what the meaning of reflection was for these high holy days before we would be sent out to small locations to celebrate and to lead services. Well, tonight we begin that time of reflection where we can look back on the past year and imagine how perhaps things could have gone differently. Things could have gone differently, and we're focusing on some of the ways that it might have gone differently in one thing we do on the cusp of this new year. There's a particular Hebrew word that refers to the consideration of something that didn't happen. It didn't happen, but it could have happened. And the word is lule. It means, were it not for. It's a Hebrew word that introduces, I think the best way to understand it, as an alternative that did not come to be. Well, there's a story that was told about a guy named Goldberg. He was the shamus at his shul. That's the synagogue official who's the one who manages all the day-to-day affairs. Well, one day he receives a package for the shul, and he opens it, signs the package with an X. The synagogue president says, "So what gives with the X?" And Goldberg admits that he can't write. Well, the president discusses this with the board. They agree that it's not going to do if they have an illiterate shamus, so they fire him. So what's an unemployed shamus to do? He opens a little grocery store, and it does very well. So he opens another. He becomes so successful that very soon he has a chain of supermarkets. And he decides that he now wants to perhaps expand across the country. And he gets a multi-million-dollar loan from the bank. So the loan documents are placed in front of him for his signature. In the signature space, he marks an X. Well, the bank's senior vice president looks at the X on the document and shakes his head and says to Goldberg, "Mr. Goldberg, can you imagine what you could have become if only you knew how to write?" And Goldberg answers, "Yes, I know, a shamus." Well, as the autumn leaves begin to turn golden and the air is cooler at night, we say farewell to summer and we look forward to Rosh Hashanah this new year. And as I thought about it, there was a country western song. The singer Garth Brooks made it famous, and it was just another way of him saying lule, were it not for. He sang about what might have been. Sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. Remember when you're talking to the man upstairs, that's just because he doesn't answer doesn't mean he don't care. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers, and too often unanswered. Well, I think all of us, no matter what our age, there was a moment when what we had hoped would happen, well, it just didn't. We can think about this song, Lule, were it not for, and how life might have been so different for any of us. Well, after spending 25 years in the Navy, I really wanted to stay just a little bit longer. But what if I didn't do a bar mitzvah for Mark Gordon? He was a future president of the congregation here. What if I didn't do it for Mark Gordon's nephew in San Diego in 2012? If we had never met, I wouldn't have gotten that call in 2014 to say, "Would you come be our rabbi?" The college that didn't accept you, or the job that you prayed for and you didn't get. The investment you almost made, but somehow said, "Wait." Well, tonight on Erev Rosh Hashanah, we pause and we try to imagine how things might have gone differently were it not for those unanswered prayers. So we need to take a breath, and tonight also think about some of those regrets. Whether they're about family with whom you've lost touch, opportunities not taken, even words spoken in anger, or decisions that are made hastily. In other words, how grateful we should be that if life had just taken a different twist, I would not today be living the life that I'm in, especially were it not for, and I wonder what could have been. Well, Rav Nachman of Bratslav, the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, he was the founder of the Hasidic movement. Rav Nachman revived the Hasidic movement by combining the mysterious secrets of Judaism and Kabbalah, and he put all this together with in-depth Torah study. Rav Nachman's religious philosophy revolved around his closeness to God. Speaking to God, he said, in a normal conversation, as if you were talking with a good friend. He used to tell his followers that they should treat their regrets like gifts. Rav Nachman said, now realize this is 300 years ago, the agony of regret is not like other kinds of agony, because regrets can increase your days and add to your life. Each regret that you have of something in the past is actually an opportunity to learn something about yourself. You can learn about yourself and then explore the concrete change in your life that you could have for the future. So engaging in Lulei might have been, well, thinking at this time of year is exactly what the Jewish tradition calls us to do. But there's two parts to starting the new year right, and as we're ready to start this new year, we should also be ready, I think, to give a rest to all those feelings of regret. We should be grateful for what's good in our lives and never take for granted the gifts in life that we have before us. There's a wonderful story our rabbis tell us. It explains this in another way. It's about a villager who once lost his way deep inside the forest. And while taking what he thought was a shorter way back to the shtetl, well, he used all his navigational skills and he just could not find the way in the forest. And worse yet, he couldn't find any food to eat while he was lost. So disappointed, he had just lost all hope. And that's exactly when an apple tree caught his sight. Quickly, he filled his pockets, 10 apples to feed him, while he continued to search for the way out. So he ate that first apple. Joy knew no bounds. He just couldn't keep feeling grateful and blessed, and he looked up to the heavens and he thanked God. He couldn't believe his luck when he ate that first apple. And then while eating the second apple, well, he felt a little less grateful, though it tasted good. And he was taking for granted, I think, his good fortune. But he was even a little less grateful as he had the fifth apple. And somehow with the passing of each apple, he still felt hungry. And his joy of finding that tree, well, it just diminished. And by the time he ate the 10th apple, it was over. So what was going on, and why does this apple story have to do with anything about Rosh Hashanah? Well, having found an apple tree in the middle of the forest, after long days of wandering with hunger, the villager began to take for granted the gift of the tree. By the time he held that 10th apple in his hand, he was still hungry, but he just didn't feel like eating. Instead, he was just wondering, with a little bit of regret, what would have been if he had stayed on that known path going back to the shtetl? That last apple he ate, well, it wasn't less delicious than the first. It didn't lack the potential to satisfy his hunger. The only thing lacking was his gratitude to find food in the middle of the forest. He needed to give a rest the feelings of regret and be grateful for that apple. Be grateful for the apple and also what's good in his life. Never take the gifts of life for granted. Well, that last apple, even though it wasn't dipped in honey, it represented those gifts of life that life gives us. The last apple represents our lack of gratitude for the gifts of life and all that we have in front of us. So this new year is here to remind us that if we get bored on an ordinary day, it's not because the day is dull and boring. It's because we need to be reminded that the gift of life for another day should never be taken for granted. Our 13th year of life should be as exciting as our 25th year, and our 50th year and your 80th, or even your 100th. Never let your gratitude of life fade away. So on Rosh Hashanah, we're told not just to reflect on our list of regrets, but it's equally important that we assemble all those lists of gratitude. This new year is a promise that you'll live your dreams, but we have to live them with no regrets. There was an elderly man, he was in the final days of his life, he was lying in bed all alone. Suddenly he awakens and he sees this large group of people. They're clustered around his bed and their faces are loving, but they're just a little sad. Confused, the old man smiles and he whispers, "You must be my childhood friends to come to say goodbye. I'm so grateful." Well, moving closer, the tallest figure gently grasps the old man's hand and replies, "Yes, we're your best and oldest friends, but long ago you abandoned us. For we're the unfulfilled promises of your youth, the unrealized hopes and dreams and plans that you once felt so deep within your heart and you never pursued. Were the lovers you never loved, the mountains you never climbed, the unique talents that you never refined, and the special gifts that you never discovered. Old friend, we've not come here to comfort you, but to die with you. Well, my friends, live life today like it's your last day. Rosh Hashanah says you will live with no regrets like never before. Now, the whole time that I was writing this New Year's message, I was thinking about gratitude and difficult times and, yes, even regrets. And then this powerful little song, it was written by Charlie Chaplin, the brave little tramp who stood up to Hitler. It was running through my head. Now, Nat King Cole made it famous, as did Jimmy Durante. And they wrote, smile as though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by if you smile, though you're fear and sorrow. Smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Eternal God, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha V'Nashuva, help us return to you as we shall return. Chadesh Yamenu Kekedem, renew our lives as when we were young. May God grant that our lives will help us let go of our regrets and embrace our blessings, so that in this new year we can look forward without regrets to greater happiness in the future, and with the knowledge an unanswered prayer is sometimes the answer. So I promise you tonight on Erev Rosh Hashanah that you'll find that life is always worthwhile if you just smile. We're now going to return to our prayer books on page 20 as we invite Ronnie and Deirdre Baker, and they're going to open the ark for us and will remain standing following Avinu Malkeinu as we join together with the cantor Avinu Malkeinu at the top of page 20.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'Aneinu.
Page 21, we continue.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gidula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kilei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'chai Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shemo Ushemo echad.
You may be seated. As Phil Brodsky is now going to read for us a portion and explanation of the essayist Ralph Waldo Emerson.
The 19th century American essayist and poet Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote that if the sunset occurred once every 10 years, we would be so awed by it that it would appear to be a miracle. But since it happens every day, we pay scant attention to it. The soul of each of us is geared to see miracles in the daily occurrences of nature. With open eyes and hearts, we can witness the sunrise and sunset, the growth of fruit and flowers, the babble of the brooks, and the power of the seas. Let us consider and appreciate the daily miracles and give thanks for God's creations.
Thank you. Well, at this moment in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance. A link has been broken. The chain that bound us together, yet strong bonds of home and love hold us one to another. Though our loved ones are beyond our sight, we don't despair, for we'll always be comforted by precious memories. The mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 22 as we rise together as a family. And those who wish may join with me as we say, Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechal Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Zman Kariv Ramein. Yehesh me Rabba Mevarach Leolam Omeo Maya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach Ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh. Yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shemei Dekudasha Brechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata. Damiran B'yalma V'imramein. Yehesh Lama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein. You may be seated. Before we conclude our service, I wanted to offer some thank yous and a few announcements just briefly, especially to our cantor for beautifully preparing everything that you have this year and the years past. Thank you. And to Janet for organizing all the people that are going to be coming up the next 4 days. Thank you for putting all this together. And to Seth for always being willing to schlep anything we need anywhere and bring anything we need from wherever it was. And to Jeannie, who's out there somewhere. This is where Johnny Carson says, can you turn up the house lights? But we're not going to do that. Jeannie's up there somewhere, and we've been working on this since last year. To our cellist, Dr. Adam Riggs, violin, Carrie Beater, and Kyle Jones on piano. Thank you. It's beautiful. And this is the first time that we've had an Erev Rosh Hashanah with our musicians as well. So we're so grateful to that, to Lauren and Bert Solomon, because they helped provide the music for us. To Patrick, Cheyenne, and Erickson, this is the best sound we've had. And there's so many people out there that we are streaming to. And who would have thought that we'd be saying that if it were not for COVID, where we said we needed to. And now, of course, we want to, and we welcome so many people in your living rooms joining us tonight. And to our ushers, we have Citadel Security. They're always going to be with us, keeping us safe here and everywhere else that we go. And these flowers, Karen, you always outdo yourself. You're making me hungry with all these apples around here too. But it's beautiful, and it's a lot of work to put all this together in your team. So thank you so much for that. And to the 4 families that allow us to come here, the Bernie and Helene Grablowski, Joyce and Paul Krasnow, Elliot and Stephanie Ross, and Jeff and Amy Goldsmith. They were able to underwrite the ability of our being able to come here to this beautiful setting. Services tomorrow morning at 9:30, followed by Tashlich. And thanks to Alice Leeds, I know that your dad, Jack, is going to be looking down upon us, that we have a beautiful, down by the covered bridge, we're going to be having our Tashlich service, honey wine, cake, all kinds of great stuff down there. And to the Lautenberg family for helping underwrite our lunch tomorrow. I was going to say it's at the Chop House, but we've been there so many times. We go there for mountaintop services. I like to go there anytime. So I think instead of Chop House, we should pronounce the CH the way we always pronounce it in prayer, the Chop House. So when you go there, say, we love going to the Chop House. And to Michael Simons for lodging our cantor, the family, and all of our musicians at Creekside. It's the first time we've ever had that opportunity, and we're so grateful that they can be so close to us. There's flyers in the back to the Valar staff and Vail Valley Foundation. My thanks to all of you. And when we're done, of course, you don't just leave your books in the pews. This isn't, we have to take them to the back, or we end up cleaning all those up and put them away. So we're grateful for so many of you that came, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning and look forward to seeing you then. We'd like to invite up now Clifford and Stella Marks, and they're going to read for us The Year Gone By, page 23. Oh. I have them on the eve of the new year. On the eve of the year gone by. You should be holding your Torah while you do this, you know that. Okay.
The year gone by has faded with the sunset as we move always forward in life. This evening, which borders on the past and present, summons us to the sanctuary. It summons us to account for the gift of life. This sacred evening, we join as a congregation with repentance on our tongue, with resolve in our heart that our atonement be reflected in our deeds. We seek forgiveness from ourselves, from others, and from God. We seek wholeness and holiness with God as we enter a new year. Help us, God, to realize truth, that we are only as holy as we allow ourselves to be.
Thank you. At the bottom of the page as the cantor continues. I'd like to thank those who came so early today to help set up our sanctuary. It's truly beautiful. I mean, we transform. You can come here for country western music, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you got a beautiful shul. And it's really amazing what we were able to put into this and to be able to transform it. It's a lot of work, and we appreciate that. And even the tables that are set and the flowers before us, you could wonder, why do we have a brick on the table? This is one piece of the wall that's going to be put up at the hospital, the Jerusalem wall that was sent from near Beersheba, the quarry, all the way to Miami, and then trucked up to Colorado. And if you want to take a closer look to see what that wall is going to look like next summer when it's established, the western wall in the hospital chapel, it's going to be beautiful. Rhonda, this must be your turn. I invite you to stand next to your Torah too, but there's no microphone. So you're going to read us on the eve of the new year.
On the eve of the new year, we have come together to welcome the new year, to celebrate its promise, to ponder its responsibilities. Let us give thanks to the new opportunities it brings us. Let us preserve joyous and worthy memories, and let us carry forward with our most noble hopes. Let us be worthy of our ancient heritage and loyal to its teachings, yet aware of the new challenges still before us. Let us greet the new year with renewed hope and strength, responding to the mystery and wonder of life. As we pray for a year of good health and fulfillment, may the thoughts we think and the deeds we perform help make this a truly Shana Tova.
Thank you.
Sure.
Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, as the evening casts its shadow over the earth, ushering in this moment of the solemn days when we join our fellow Jews around the world in prayer and meditation. This night, hallowed by the sacred memories, unites us with generations of the past, recalling their piety and devotion, that we stand before you humbled. We aim for the heights, but our footsteps, dear God, sometimes falter. We ask that you steady us as we are unsure and we lose our bearings, but keep us together and pardon us. Lord, we have been faithful to you throughout these years and will continue to carry on your traditions and customs for the rest of our lives, beginning this year and through the next. We're going to conclude our service with the singing of Bashana Haba'ah. Next year, we sit on the porch and count all the birds, or here it might be count all the deer, as we continue the top of page 24.
בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית ובין חסדות. ותראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית ובין חסדות. ותראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. בשנה הבאה.
Adonai Oz li'amo yatein, Adonai avarecha tamo v'shalom. We ask that the Lord grant strength into his people, bless all of his people in this new year with peace. Amen and Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.